The Chosen Season 6 finale didn't just tell a story. It shook us to the core. Every scene was loaded with emotion, every line carried weight, and the ending left us stunned, sitting in silence long after the credits rolled. But what exactly happened in those final moments that has fans talking non-stop? Let's break it all down. The finale of Season 6 takes us on a journey that is both heartbreaking and uplifting at the same time. It begins with a sense of urgency. The tension is clear from the very first scene. The disciples, who have been through so much already, now face the greatest test of their loyalty and faith. Throughout the episode, we see relationships strained to their limits, doubts creeping in, and sacrifices being made that remind us of the high cost of following Jesus. One of the most striking moments is the way the show builds silence and pauses before major events. This isn't just about what characters say, but what they don't say. We feel their fear, their confusion, and their hope in the quiet spaces between words. The finale captures the weight of destiny pressing down on everyone, and it keeps us glued to the screen. The closing act pulls no punches. As Jesus steps closer to the fate that has been foreshadowed since the very first season, the emotions rise higher than ever. The disciples watch events unfold with pain in their eyes, torn between wanting to protect their teacher and knowing they cannot stop what must happen. The direction and pacing of these scenes make them unforgettable. Each character feels alive, vulnerable, and utterly human. The last moments of the episode leave us with a mix of sorrow and anticipation. It's not just an ending, it's a bridge between what we have experienced over 6 seasons and what is about to come in Season 7. The music swells, the screen fades, and we are left with A at its heart. The Season 6 finale of The Chosen is more than just a collection of dramatic moments. It's a mirror reflecting timeless themes that speak to every viewer, whether they are deeply religious or simply drawn to human stories of struggle and hope. What makes this episode stand out is how it weaves symbolism into the smallest details, making every scene carry a double meaning. On the surface, we see the disciples experiencing fear, betrayal, and loss, but underneath, we are being asked to look at universal questions of faith, endurance, and purpose. One of the most powerful themes is sacrifice. Almost every character in the finale is confronted with a choice, whether to hold on to safety or give something up for a higher calling. The disciples wrestle with leaving behind their old lives. Once more, while Jesus embodies the ultimate example of laying everything down, the symbolism here is subtle but effective. Even the framing of certain shots with characters standing in shadows while others are bathed in light reminds us that every decision comes with a cost. Another theme is doubt. In many stories, doubt is treated as weakness, but here it is shown as part of the journey. The finale leans into this reality by giving us moments where the disciples openly struggle with their faith. Their uncertainty doesn't make them less. It makes them real, relatable, and human. The symbolism of water, stormy skies, and even the shifting light throughout the episode works as a visual echo of their inner battles. Just as storms eventually clear, the show suggests that doubt can lead to deeper understanding if we endure. Perhaps the most striking symbolic thread in the finale is redemption. Even in scenes heavy with despair, small details point toward hope. A simple look exchanged between two characters, a hand reaching out, or the way the camera lingers on a tear-streaked face reminds us that even in the darkest moments, love and grace are still present. This tension between darkness and light doesn't just tell the story of Jesus and his followers. It resonates with every viewer who has ever struggled, fallen, or questioned their path. By the time the credits roll, the finale has painted a picture that is both painful and uplifting. The themes of sacrifice, doubt, and redemption are not just written into the dialogue, they're carved into the very structure of the episode. The finale doesn't hand us easy answers. Instead, it leaves us with symbols that stay in our minds long after the screen goes black, urging us to think, reflect, and feel. Lingering ache. Knowing this, what makes the Season 6 finale so unforgettable isn't only the big dramatic moments, it's the way the characters we've walked with for years finally reach breaking points, turning points, or moments of quiet realization. Each disciple carries the weight of their choices, and in the finale, we see them pay off in ways that feel both heartbreaking and rewarding. Take Peter, for example. From the start of the series, he has been fiery, bold, and sometimes reckless. In the finale, we see that same boldness clash with deep fear. His desire to protect Jesus, to fight against what feels inevitable, makes him one of the most relatable figures in the episode. His arc reminds us that courage often looks messy. It's not about being fearless, but about facing fear head-on even when the outcome is uncertain. Mary Magdalene's journey in the finale feels quieter, but no less powerful. Her presence carries a sense of steady faith, even when everything around her begins to crumble. She embodies grace and resilience, standing as a symbol of hope while others fall into despair. Her arc doesn't explode with action. It resonates through her calm strength. For viewers, she represents the voice inside us that whispers, "Hold on," even in the darkest hour. Then there's Judas, whose storyline in this season has been a storm building in the distance. The finale shows his inner conflict with striking intensity. We see glimpses of his loyalty battling against temptation, his doubt overshadowing his devotion. His arc is painful to watch because it reflects the human struggle of choosing between what is right and what feels easier in the moment. The payoff is not satisfying in the traditional sense. It's tragic, but it's also essential to the story's emotional truth. And of course, Jesus himself. In this finale, his arc isn't about change. It's about fulfillment. Every word he speaks, every step he takes, carries the weight of destiny. What makes his presence so powerful here is the way the show balances his divinity with his humanity. We see him not only as a leader, but as a man who feels pain, sorrow, and love as deeply as anyone else. His journey isn't about avoiding suffering. It's about walking straight into it with purpose. By the end of the finale, the character arcs feel like puzzle pieces locking into place. Each disciple's doubts, flaws, and growth tie into a bigger picture that leaves us both devastated and inspired. Their payoffs don't close their stories. They open doors to new struggles and deeper lessons in the seasons ahead. Is far from what sets The Chosen. Apart from many other shows is not only the story it tells, but the way it tells it. The Season 6 finale proves this in every frame. When we peel back the curtain and look at the creative choices behind the scenes, we see how much thought and heart went into making this episode resonate so deeply. One of the most striking aspects is the cinematography. Notice how the camera lingers longer than usual during moments of silence. This wasn't accidental. The director intentionally slowed the pacing, allowing the audience to sit in the discomfort, the sorrow, and the awe of what was happening. Wide shots of empty spaces or dimly lit rooms weren't just there for beauty. They mirrored the isolation and uncertainty the characters felt. The choice of light versus shadow became almost like an unspoken character, guiding us emotionally from hope to despair and back again. The performances themselves also carry a behind-the-scenes story. Several of the actors have spoken about how emotionally exhausting it was to film these scenes. Many moments were shot in long takes, forcing the cast to stay locked into raw emotions without a break. That's why the tears you see on screen don't look staged. They're real. The vulnerability we witnessed was a result of actors giving themselves fully to the moment, blurring the line between character and performer. Even the sound design deserves attention. In a finale where silence was almost as important as dialogue, the subtle use of sound elevated everything. The faint rustle of clothing, the creak of wooden beams, or the distant murmurs of a crowd added layers of realism. And when the music did arrive, it wasn't overpowering. It was carefully placed to lift key moments without drowning them. This balance gave the finale a haunting quality that stayed long after the credits rolled. Set design, too, played its role in shaping the story. The worn textures of stone walls, the dim glow of oil lamps, and the stark simplicity of certain spaces emphasized the gravity of the events. There was no need for grand spectacle. Authenticity was the spectacle. The production team's commitment to grounding everything in historical detail while still creating visual poetry made the world feel both real and timeless. What makes these behind-the-scenes choices so powerful is that they don't draw attention to themselves. Instead, they disappear into the story, making us feel rather than notice. That's the quiet brilliance of this finale. It wasn't just filmed, it was crafted with intention at every level. And that intention is what turns a good scene into one that lingers in the soul. The Season 6 finale of The Chosen doesn't just end a chapter, it plants seeds for what's to come. And if you look closely, you'll see that the writers and directors sprinkled the episode with small details that foreshadow the future, almost like whispers hidden in plain sight. One subtle detail is the way certain characters are framed when they speak. Judas, for instance, is often shown with shadows creeping across his face, a quiet signal of the betrayal building in his heart. This isn't random. Cinematography is being used as prophecy, hinting at choices he has not yet made but will soon define him. Contrast that with Mary Magdalene, who is often surrounded by light or placed near sources of warmth, showing her role as an anchor of faith when everything else begins to unravel. Another hidden thread lies in the dialogue. Some of the simplest lines carry double meaning. When a disciple expresses fear of being left alone, it's not just about the immediate moment. It's a foreshadowing of the separation and trials that will come in the next season. The show's brilliance lies in writing lines that echo forward, forcing us to realize their weight only after the story moves on. Even the use of sound and silence hints at the future. In key moments where you might expect music to swell, the show instead holds back, leaving us in stillness. That silence is intentional. It creates space for anticipation, for dread, and for reflection. It's the sound of a story that knows it's not finished. All of these choices build toward a finale that doesn't close doors, but opens them wider. Season 7 is already being shaped by what we saw here. The deepening fractures among the disciples, the looming shadow of betrayal, and the unstoppable path Jesus is walking. The finale makes it clear that the stakes will only rise from here, and the themes of sacrifice, faith, and redemption are about to reach their most powerful form. The impact going forward is simple but profound. This isn't just entertainment, it's preparation. The audience is being invited to feel the weight of history unfolding, to wrestle with the same questions the characters face, and to carry those questions into the next season. That's why the finale hits so hard. It doesn't just tell us what happened. It reminds us that what comes next will demand even more of our hearts. The Season 6 finale of The Chosen doesn't fade quietly into the background. It lingers. It sits with you like an echo that refuses to be silenced. When the screen goes black, what we're left with isn't just the memory of characters and dialogue, but a feeling that something bigger has been set in motion. That's the true genius of this finale. It reaches beyond the story and asks us to carry its weight with us. Think about how the arcs, themes, and hidden details we've explored come together. Sacrifice, doubt, and redemption aren't just ideas on paper. They've been lived out by characters we've come to know as friends. Their struggles remind us of our own. Their fears feel painfully familiar, and their hope feels like a lifeline. By the time the credits roll, we're not just watching disciples, we're walking beside them. Behind the scenes, every choice reinforced this impact. The lighting, the silences, the set design, the music. They all worked like threads woven into one tapestry. And that tapestry doesn't just tell us what happened in Season 6. It shows us what kind of emotional storm is waiting in Season 7. The finale is both an ending and an opening. Both grief and promise. Both despair and the faint spark of hope. But here's what makes it truly special. It's not finished. The story continues not only in the next season but in the minds and hearts of everyone who watched. The unanswered questions, the cliffhangers, the unresolved pain. These aren't just plot devices, they're invitations. Invitations to reflect, to wrestle, and to come back for more. So as we step away from Season 6 and look toward the horizon of Season 7, we carry with us the same tension the disciples felt. Fear of what's to come, but also the hope that it will all mean something greater in the end. And maybe that's why The Chosen resonates so deeply. It doesn't just tell a story from history, it makes us part of it. Now the question is yours. Which moment from the finale hit you the hardest? Was it the silence, the betrayal, the quiet resilience, or the unshakable sense that everything is about to change? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if this deep dive helped you see the finale in a new light, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the conversation. Because the story isn't over, and neither is ours. Every season of The Chosen reminds us that this story is more than scenes and dialogue. It's an experience meant to move us, challenge us, and make us reflect. Season 6's finale took that mission to another level. We didn't just see characters face their breaking points, we felt it with them. And as we prepare for Season 7, we carry those emotions like a weight and a gift, knowing the journey is far from finished. But here's where you, the audience, step into the story. The Chosen isn't just powerful because of what happens on screen. It's powerful because of the conversations it sparks off screen. That's why I want to hear from you. Which moment from the finale stayed with you long after the episode ended? Was it a single line of dialogue? A silent glance? Or maybe the way the final scene left you breathless with both sorrow and anticipation? Your voice matters in this community because each of us sees something unique in these moments. If this breakdown helped you notice details you might have missed, or gave you a deeper appreciation for the finale, then let's keep this journey going together. Hit the like button. It lets me know you value deep dives like this. Subscribe if you haven't already, because when Season 7 arrives, we'll be unpacking every twist, every hidden clue, and every emotional payoff side by side. And don't forget to share this video with someone who loves The Chosen as much as you do. Because stories like these are meant to be shared, not kept to ourselves. The road ahead is going to test the disciples, test our expectations, and maybe even test our hearts. But that's the beauty of it. The finale isn't the end. It's the beginning of something even bigger. And when the next chapter unfolds, you'll want to be here, ready to walk that road together. So let's continue the conversation. Drop your thoughts, theories, or even your favorite hidden detail in the comments below. Until then, hold on to hope, hold on to faith, and remember, this story is only just beginning.